I would like to officially begin this ramble by wishing you happy tidings and good vibrations and just, bountiful happiness abound. The boundless happiness. Because it's April, which means, we're staring down the barrel of May and June and July. And if just close your eyes, you might be able to smell or hear. Hot dogs, grills, buds popped open, charcoal. You smell that citronella? Do you smell that? That smell of lightly tanned, slightly sunburnt skin. Aloe vera, Ooh! I get too excited sometimes, but as you know, I'm about to sneeze. Whoa! As you know, these are rambles where I talk about current events, one old thing, and then an old cookbook and a recipe therein. Or perhaps not quite so old of a cookbook, but yesterday's cookbooks. So, current events, as you know, and if you don't, you should, by now. Come on, I've been trying my bestest to inform you, but I do have a second book. Baking Across America is upside down. Let's correct that. Baking Across America, my second book, comes out next month. It's, of course, open for pre-order. But how about we talk about a old thing? You say, Dylan, what is the old thing we're speaking about today? I don't know if anyone's going to recognize this. Well, on one level, you're going to recognize it, but perhaps you don't know what it is. Are you ready? It's going to come up on your screen now. I warn you. It can be a bit disconcerting. Coming on your screen. Ooh, it's coming on your screen now. Look at those eyes. They're a bit devoid of emotion. And any emotion that they do carry is a bit ominous, right? Makes the hair on the back of my head stand up. And this is how this stands up. You say, Dylan, what is that? Well, you recognize that it's a bird. It's one incapable of flight and fairly static. It's inanimate, so to speak. So we've established it's a bird, it's porcelain. But what is its purpose? Is it a whistle? No. How about this way? No. If it does whistle, it's frequencies that we're not privy to. This, last guess, is a pie bird. Now, it's not a bird they've named Pie, and it's not a bird that likes pie. As we've established, it's inanimate. The pie bird was a device that you would make your pie, make your bottom crust, fill it, then you would put this thing in, stood up in the middle of your bloody pie, and you're like looking right at you. Well, this one kind of stares blankly to the heavens. And then you would put your top crust on top, and you would shove this thing's face up through the top crust, like you're trying to put on a turtleneck a few sizes too small. And what it would then do is then upon baking, all of the gases and the bubbles would gather up yonder, and they would go through, bypass the filling, not get trapped underneath the top crust, and then be, spat out, vented to the atmosphere via a bird. Now, why our forebears and forefathers and mothers decided that this would take the form of a bird, and such a frightful one at that? I've seen this in my, nightmares. My sleep paralysis demon. It doesn't even quite look like a bird. There's too much of a humanistic element about this thing. Does it work? Barely. Trying to extract a bird from the pie after it's baked is not something we're usually prepared for in the baking realm. We're taught how to slice things properly, but, excision of a foreign object is fairly rare. So, if you're not wanting to just cut around a bloody bird in the middle of your pie, then you're going to create a great deal of damage trying to extract this thing. And I'm not quite sure I want a big piece of porcelain in the middle of my apple pie. That's what this thing is for. Today, cutting slits in your pie, slats, holes in your pie is going to do the same thing. Is there much benefit to this? Some will argue that it stops collapsing, that you'll kind of have a more pleasantly domed pie, right? And of course you will, because you've essentially got a piece of scaffolding in there, but it's not worth it. You know, it's pitching a tent, which is fine in certain circumstances of arousal, but not when it comes to baking blueberries and apples and all sorts of other berry pies. That's the pie bird. Now, the old cookbook we'll be speaking about today isn't exactly old, though we can say it's weathered a few years. It's from 2008. It is the Granger United Methodist Church cookbook. I vividly remember 2008. I was 13. 13, by the way, horrible age. Nothing good happens at that age. You're angsty, you lash out, you cry, you yell, and you eat too much or you eat too little. But in 2008, 1235 Granger Road, there's a church located there. Well, at least there was in 2008, called the Granger United Methodist Church in the town of Medina, Ohio. Now, I was corrected on a live. The pronunciation of this town is, in fact, Medina, like the old song, Dinah, that Bing Crosby used to sing, and Al Jolson. But this here cookbook, Granger United Methodist Church, the cookbook is actually called Granger Delights, and it's sponsored by the Granger United Methodist Women. Now, if you go over to page 47... amidst the manicotti crepes and the tuna noodle casseroles and the egg and sausage casseroles, we'll find down yonder an impossible seafood pie. Now, when you hear the word impossible and pie together, as one who bakes from old recipes, I think of a pie that's made in a blender. The impossible pie sort of shtick is a pie that you make in one bowl, normally in a blender, and through baking, it creates its own top and bottom crust. So if we look at the ingredients list here that we're concerned with, you see it calls for 6 ounces of frozen or canned crab meat, cup of shredded cheese, 3 ounces of cream cheese, a bit of sliced up green onion, 2 cups of milk, a cup of Bisquick baking mix, dry, 4 eggs, bit of salt, and some nutmeg. Now, circling back to the impossible thing, what I'm thinking is, since this is not made in a blender, so immediately it is not the prototypical impossible pie. Fun fact, I have an impossible pie recipe in baking yesteryear, which works pretty well. So this immediately is not your standard impossible pie, but I'm guessing the impossible seafood pie is named so because after baking, it separates itself into a crust and then a horrible, cheesy, Bisquick-imbued crab top. Or my hypothesis is that it's called impossible seafood pie because it's impossible to eat. Look at that. 400 degrees for almost 40 minutes. This thing is going to be, I don't know. Has anyone made this? Does anyone know of a seafood pie like this? I don't think I would like a seafood pie. Maybe if you're skirting near quiche territory. I don't want anything to do with Bisquick pancakiness with my crabs. I'm not about that. Are you? So this is here, 2008. I mean no harm to Granger United Methodist Church cookbook. I really don't. They've even so kindly put their phone number on here. This is lovely. And I'm sure someone here likes this. I don't. So that's the old recipe of the day. This here is the old thing of the day. My speech centers are beginning to slow and shut down because I've been in this car, which has been off, and it's like 20 degrees outside. Overall, I wanted to say thank you again for your continued support and for watching me and still allowing me to do this same shtick well into 2025, despite the fact that I started in the pandemic. Wishing you all, again, good tidings, and I will see you around the bend. Bye-bye.